Introduce yourself and describe to the listeners who you are and what role you play in Shot Baker.
My name is Tony Kovacs, and I sing for the punk band Shot Baker.
Okay, and you're the primary lyricist, I understand?
Yes. It's pretty much all the music is very much a collaborative effort. Each member of the band really brings. It wouldn't be the same music without any member of this band. Everyone pretty much puts their all into it, and even so much so as sometimes even coming up with vocal patterns when I'm completely drawing a blank. But yeah, as far as the actual lyrics go, I write all the lyrics.
Can you describe briefly where you draw most of your inspiration for some of these passionate songs?
Yeah, I guess the whole, pretty much just about all of my lyrics are just kind of questioning myself and, I don't know, society, if you will, but more so like a personal thing. It's not so much political as much as personal, and it's pretty much just me trying to figure things out and trying to look deeper at myself.
Drawing from personal experiences, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and trying to figure out what, I don't know, what can be learned from those experiences and that sort of thing.
Okay, now I understand. Well, you were a singer. You sang in the former band, the Punanis, and we had an earlier conversation at a show where I asked you if you wrote any of those songs. You said you never wrote any of those songs, and how you kind of came into your own as a singer and a lyricist when you finally started the whole Shot Baker thing. What brought you out of your shell where you felt comfortable enough where you could start putting down words on the paper and then busting them out through a microphone?
Well, the guy who was writing all the songs for the Punanis, his name's Andy Maggio, and he's in a band now called Costello. But anyways, his songs were amazing, and he was he was pretty much, in my opinion, a gifted songwriter ever since we were like teenagers, maybe even younger. 12 years old, he was pumping out really great songs. So I think, he had kind of established himself as the primary songwriter of the band, and at the time I was pretty insecure about my own abilities, and it was hard to really establish myself as any kind of decent songwriter in the Punanis, because he would come to practice with 4 new songs, and they'd all be, in my opinion, mind-blowing songs that I could never top. So I always kind of felt like I couldn't, bring forth anything, because it would be subpar to what we were writing at the time. Then the Punanis broke up when I was maybe 22 or 23 or maybe 24. It was around 22, 23 when I started really kind of having I was getting close to graduating college, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, and I really started questioning everything more so than I ever had before, and trying to figure out what it meant to be a functioning human being on my own and all that kind of thing, and something broke. I decided I needed to start a band because all of a sudden I just had this wealth of questions, and it just inspired me to say, that's it, I'm starting a band. I got plenty to get off my chest, and I don't know, it worked out.
How did you guys actually all get together? I understand you guys knew each other from prior bands, but how did you guys solidify what has now become Shot Baker?
Yeah, well, we all went to the same high school. We all went to Maine South in Park Ridge, and although Nat is a handful of years younger, I didn't know Nat until Nat and I met at the same. We both work at Lumamati's, so we both know each other from the same pizza place, and just had similar music interests, and then kind of became friends and started playing around in little side project things. And the other guys I knew from high school, just from kind of Chris and John both being in a similar circle of punk bands in high school and everything, and yeah, as far as John goes, the way that worked out is Dan and I were doing a little side project band called Grimace of Pain, which never did anything, didn't take off. No one took it seriously. The band members didn't take it seriously except for Nat and I. But at one of those shows, at one of the Grimace of Pain shows, John was like, man, we got to start a band together. I've been sitting on all this material, I've been writing, and I've got all these riffs and this and that, and we really got to start a band. And at the time, I was like, I'm kind of working on this project right now, But yeah, John wanted to start a band. I was in the middle of a different project at the time, so I kind of put it off. But then when that project kind of fell apart, or when I finally came to grips with the fact that it wasn't going anywhere, and no one in the band cared, and no one was very ambitious, and just kind of part-time goof-off for the rest of the guys, then I kind of wanted to get together with a band that actually wanted to do something. So, Nat and I stuck together and decided to find other guys and start a new band. And I called Chris because his previous band, the Dorks, he was always kind of the promotional machine behind that band. He was always the guy who was pushing them, and he was the guy making everything happen for that band. As far as obviously everything outside of making the music, which they all did. It was a pretty collaborative effort for the Dorks as well. But everything else outside, he was the one booking the shows, promoting the shows, passing out flyers, trying to get on compilations or whatever. So he and I always had kind of a mutual respect in that regard, because I was always the guy, promotionally minded person in the Punani. So when we got together, or I called him and said, hey, you in a band right now? And he's like, no. He's like, I was actually thinking about calling you. I was like, all right, let's do it. And we're like, okay, cool. We called John. We met up at the side project Grimace of Pain practice space, and seemed to click. Yeah, everyone seemed happy, and I think the fact that none of us were really in bands previous to that, it really helped. Nobody had really any major judgments about one another, and it was easy for everyone to kind of put their 2 cents in as far as how music should be written, and everyone, no one kind of was the
dominant force.
Yeah, exactly. It was really like we realized that we all kind of needed each other in order to write a half-decent song. So in that regard, and that's kind of how it's stayed ever since. No one has kind of taken the creative wheel. It's still very much like a collaborative effort, and we all kind of depend on one another to bounce off ideas, and it's worked. So that's pretty much how that happened.
Now you guys just finished a little mini tour with Naked Raygun and the Swinging Utters, correct?
Right.
Okay. What was that experience like for you? I mean, give me a quick road story. I mean, it's obviously somewhat of an honor to be picked as the supporting band for the Naked Raygun. Go into that a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head as far as it being an honor, just because. Well, to be honest, I never really got into the Swinging Utters, although, I guess I have respect for them, but I never really got into them. Nat was a Swinging Utters fan, but I never really, and so was Chris. But, anyways, but yeah, I mean, it was still like, oh, wow, hey, that's great. But, I mean, obviously Naked Raygun, being from Chicago, and just, I mean, they were kind of like the gateway band for me. They were the first... they were the first. I was listening to metal and that kind of stuff when I was a kid, and then it's like, oh, one of my friend's older brothers. No, you gotta listen to this, and it kind of, I guess, like a lot of people, I suppose, it kind of changed my life. Like, oh, wow, what's this about? And just getting into all kinds of different punk rock stuff from there on out. So yeah, I mean, just huge honor. It was really cool. And I think when we first found out that we were going on tour with Naked Raygun, I think we all, I think because we were at Mike Patrician, who runs Riot Fest Records and the Riot Fest, and he manages Naked Raygun as well, and we were at his place for a meeting, and he said, and when he told us that, we were like, oh man, that's great, wow, and then once we got outside, I think we all hugged each other and like, holy shit,